So hello and welcome back yet again to another week with just Beryl tonight, I think, exploring the Netherstorm, which is an interesting area because it was called Farahome, I think. I'm probably butchering that. And it's an area that I don't ever remember seeing in actual Draenor. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And you can see that it was a major Draenei settlement from all the ruins that are around and a bunch of ghosts. But now it's mostly been taken over by Prince Kael'thas's forces, and they are harvesting mana through all of their eco forges, or mana forges. And part of what you're going to do in this zone is go around and kind of just shut down all of his mana forges before you head off to the Tempest Keep to try and take him out himself. Now, along with the mana forges and everything like that, the ethereals have set up these giant ecodomes, which is probably one of the reasons why this was one of my favorite areas. Not necessarily for the Netherstorm itself, but because the ecodomes are so cool. And because before it was so easy to get pets in the game, this was an area that had some really cool pets up in one of the ecodomes. So let's go look around some of these. This is Ecodome Farfield, and this one is pretty much all inhabited by raptors. There's raptors everywhere, and a few of the big old Tyrannosauruses. And as you can hear, the kind of happy music. Now, you also have these really interesting Farahome breakers. They are elite giants, and you do end up with some quests to go and harvest some stuff from them. It makes for an interesting fight, that is for sure. Alright, now we are in the Ecodome Southeron, or Southeron. And again, you have the beautiful music here. And like I said, I think I really enjoyed it, mostly because it's just such a contrast. Now, something that I didn't know for sure, but I was looking up earlier, is if you look around, you can definitely see that these are Draenei ruins. And there's actually no word from Blizzard what actually happened to the Draenei that used to live here. They could have moved on into Zangarmarsh and just established themselves there, but there's actually no word on it. Now, as I said, there are some fun pets here, and if I can find them, general goods, exotic creatures. And you know, a lot of people probably do know about this guy, but maybe not everybody. So, he sells a Senegal parrot, a Siamese cat, a crimson snake, an Undercity cockroach, which is a way for Alliance players to have gotten the Undercity cockroach without having a Horde player. You can also get a brown rabbit, a red moth, a blue dragonhawk, and a mana wormling from him. And they're all pretty darn cheap. I mean, the mana wormling is 36 gold, but most everything else will only cost you silver, which is kind of useful. So yeah, like I said, the ethereals have kind of taken over these old Draenei ruins. They send you off on a lot of different quests. I also find it really interesting that no matter what your faction, the goblins have you covered. And they even have the appropriate mounts for you. So I always thought that was kind of fun. But we're going to move on. You know, it's funny, the ecodomes, they just, they're sort of like a little oasis, and it's kind of really nice. Up ahead we have a few more mana forges, and if you are still stuck on the ground, which you shouldn't be anymore, but maybe if you're back in Classic, they do have bridges so that you can get to and from the mana things. The mana things. I do really good with words. This is why I should probably write out these scripts, but I usually don't. I just kind of go off the cuff. Now, if you are an archaeologist, there are actually a few different archaeology points. Most of them are centered around the Draenei ruins, and it's a good way to get Draenei archaeology fragments. Also over here, we have the amazingly fun Area 52. Obvious reference to Area, 51 in the United States, where they're supposed to be keeping all of the spaceships. Fun fact about me, I still to this day always call it Area 52 because my brain is in WoW mode. One of the fun things is when you go through, you get scanned, which is kind of fun. You know, you gotta love it. Now, the goblins here are all boom technicians, which just makes me laugh. And when you go into the inn here, you will see that tensions are running high between the scryers and the vindicators, you know. What are they? Oh, the Aldor. The scryers and the Aldor. You know, it's funny. I pretty much always go with the scryers just for their library, but I do remember that back in Burning Crusade there was actually a very good reason, I think, that had to do with shoulder enchants for you to go with Aldor. These days it doesn't matter too much, but you know, you just pick the one that you actually like. Now, there's also a couple of quests here that have to do with this boom technician who is the bartender, and he's trying to make the ultimate drink, and I can't remember where he is at, but he's trying to make the ultimate drink, and you do a lot of questing for him, and eventually he blows himself up, but it's okay because he's not deceased. He's just a little boomed, and it always makes me laugh. There he is, the Boom Master Mixologist Boots. There's also, and I can't remember who it is, but let's see if we can run around and find it. This is also where you can get the Phoenix bow that was designed by Ezra Chatterton, who is the little boy who is the Tauren in the Tauren starting area that sends you off on quests, who was a real life person, and he died, and one of his Make-A-Wish things was to work with World of Warcraft for a little while. And he designed a bow, he designed an entire little quest chain where you help his character find his dog. And if you go and do those quests, you can actually hear Ezra's real life voice because he recorded the voice lines. And I just think that's really kind of awesome. So let me see if I can find it, because I actually don't know if I have that bow. So I'm going to look around real quick. Alright, I did a little bit of looking things up, and according to Google, you can actually buy the bow that Ezra designed from Izzy the Clutch. She is the Merciless and Veterans Gladiator, so I'm assuming that it's bought for PvP marks. And, of course, Beryl can't buy it because she can't use crossbows. So, you know, and also because I don't PvP. But if you do PvP and you have marks of honor, which is the currency that you would spend for Ezra's bow, that is where you would get it. Also, because if you know me by now, you know that I love any sort of housing in World of Warcraft. Since the developers won't give it to us, I just find it myself. There is a very cute empty little goblin house right here in Area 52. So if you ever wanted a goblin designed house that comes equipped with a saddle rack with a bunch of saddles on it and a few little guns, well, right here in Area 52 is the house for you. Alright, we're going to move on though, because there is more to see. You know, it's funny. I played in Burning Crusade, and I did a lot. I mean, I thought I had done everything out here, and I thought I knew a lot of different things about this area, and then I found out I really didn't. Because, if you look at the map right here, we're coming up on the Arklon ruins. And that I had gone around. I had actually done a lot of different archaeology here because it's again an archaeology point. But what I never knew was just on one of these floating islands just to the south of the Arklon ruins, there is a secret little place, and we're going to see if we can find it. Now, I also might not have known about this because even if I had noticed it, I don't think I had flight for a very long time. In fact, I don't think I got a flight mount until halfway through Wrath of the Lich King. Again, not always the best of best players, but out here on one of these floating islands that I swear I went to earlier today and saw, and now I can't find, but that's okay because I will find it. There is a shrine, and it's not to a player necessarily. It's actually to a completely different game. There is a shrine to the character in the game StarCraft, Nova, and it's out here on one of these floating islands. And from what I heard, if you come at 1 o'clock your server time, you can actually see the ghost of Nova kneeling in front of her shrine, which there it is. Alright, let me pull up the map so you can see exactly where we are at. We are right due south of the Arklon ruins. Watch out, you will end up getting hit by floating debris, but details. But yeah, if you come by supposedly at 1 p.m. server time, you can see the ghost of Nova, who is a Blood Elf character. And as we zoom in, you can see that the word Nova is spelled out as in interesting flashing letters. Also, I don't know what the StarCraft music sounds like, but that is supposedly what is playing in the background right now. Although pretty much all I hear is the mana. So I'm going to turn down the ambiance and turn up the music. And if you're a StarCraft player, tell me if it is StarCraft music. Well, maybe they lied, because I have music at 100 and ambiance and everything else is down to 0, and I'm not hearing any music at all in the background. So maybe World of Warcraft took that out. But you can see, like I said, it is kind of a really neat little memorial out here. Well, that's a little, like, not embarrassing, but it's a little disappointing. Oh well. We're going to pass by a couple more of these fun little mana forges on the way to, honestly, what I think is one of the coolest spots in the Netherstorm, and that is the Kirin Tor village. Now, evidently, the magical potential in this area was high enough before it got ripped apart by the twisting nether that the Kirin Tor set up a really nice little village here. I would have loved to have seen it back when it was actually still on the shore. You can tell that it used to be on the shore because you've got this nice dock here. You got a little bit of fishing equipment. You've got a rowboat that's just kind of dangling, and a ship out here that you can come out and explore. There's nothing really in it. You know, a couple of old cannons are in it. But it's just a really neat little detail. And it kind of just shows you just how ripped up this area got. Like I said, there's a bunch of different quests, and these are really interesting because as you kill things and find items, you get more quests, and it slowly turns some of the NPC ghosts into friendly characters for you, which is kind of neat. Like, it's just sort of a neat little progression system that they have. Like, as you can see over here, I've already done some of these quests because these guys kind of like me. And you can talk to them later on. We've got Custodian Dyeworth, and he says, Kirinvar survived 20 long years and countless orc assaults, but it could not withstand the forces of Kel'Thalas. A man who once called himself a member of the Kirin Tor murdered all of us save one. Archmage Varigoth survived the attack, so Kel'Thalas imprisoned him within the Violet Tower, warding it with a magic that forbids the passage of any of the Kirin Tor. So as you can see, this place was actually called Kirinvar, and it was Kel'Thas who absolutely decimated it, which is too bad because it looks like it was probably a really cute town. I would really love to see this restored one day. I think it would be kind of cool. But instead, all we can do is kind of look around over here and just see kind of what might have been. Sorry, boys. Your spirits anyway, you'll be fine. But yeah, this is one of those areas that I really wish could be rebuilt. Like, if they ever wanted to do a really good revamp of Azeroth, I'd like to be able to see what this place looked like in its heyday. And from what I remember, there's even a cow that wants you to do quests for it. It's been a while since I did these quests, but I thought it was always kind of fun to do quests for a cow. So we're going to see if we can find her. I think she ran around near the barn, maybe? We'll go in the barn and see if the cow's in here. Or at least, yep. Well, no, that's just a stallion. That's not what we want. Like I said, I feel like I remember a cow, so if you did questing here, if I don't find her, let me know that I'm not crazy. Because I swear there was... There she is. Okay. I was like, I know that there was a cow. There she is. Bessie. Thaddel's prize cow. It's one of those core memories I'm glad that I was not absolutely wrong about. Alright, there's only a little bit more really. I mean, there's quests with ethereals, you do all sorts of stuff with the mana forges, but everything kind of culminates over here where you have 3 dungeons and a raid, the Tempest Rift. Now, you can come over here to Cosmo Wrench. There's not much here, but what there is a place to repair and a place to sell and a couple of different little questing areas. And another little goblin house. Well, maybe not a house. It's a barber shop. But you know, if you need to get your hair spiffed up before you go fight Kel'Thas, that is the place to do it. Now, like I said, we've got 3 different dungeons here, and these are absolutely phenomenal if you want to get your rep up to, I think it'll take you all the way up to either honored or revered with all of the various factions. And your three dungeons are kind of nice. You've got this one here, and I can't remember the name of it, and of course it's not going to tell me what the name of it is, because good job me. Alright, we have the Mechanar, where you will fight a bunch of blood elves and all of their minions and all of their mechanical things. Then you have the Botanica, where you have all of the Blood Elf researchers from Kael'thas who are researching all of the various life forces here in the Netherstorm. And then up top, you have the Alcatraz. And I probably butchered that, but it is definitely based on Alcatraz. It is the prison, and it's also, I think, the very first place where you meet the crazy little gnome whose name just escaped me, because of course it did. But he's really funny. He's locked up in the prison. He helps you fight. Later on in Warlords of Draenor, you end up fighting him. And it's a lot of fun. This is also where the Tempest Keep is. The Tempest Keep is a great fun raid where it's the first raid that I ever got a mount from. And that mount is, of course, Ashes of Alar. And I was so excited. I think it was only on maybe my probably 10th or 15th run of Tempest Keep that I got Ashes. Never actually had good luck like that again. I cannot tell you how often I've tried to get Invincible and didn't. But at least I did get Ashes of Alar, which is a incredibly awesome mount. In fact, we're going to mount up on it because we're just about done here. Now, when we come back next week, we are going to be moving on over to probably my favorite of the zones in the Cataclysm, in the Burning Crusade, and that is Nagrand. It's where Hemet Nessingwary sets up shop. It's also where, if you ever wanted your character to be proposed to in World of Warcraft, I'll show you where to get that done. And it's where Paris Hilton hangs out. I mean, you've got all sorts of fun things. Well, actually, she's in Shattrath City, which isn't quite in the ground, but it's close enough. But I'm going to really quickly mount up on my Ashes of Alar because I am feeling like it is about time to do that. And then we will say goodbye. So, Ashes, where are you? There you are. Now, Ashes of Alar is honestly one of the prettiest mounts in the game, in my opinion. As you ride him, he leaves beautiful streaks through the air, and he just happens to be one of my possibly favorite mounts in the entire game. It could just be my personal bias because, like I said, it's the first drop mount that I ever got in a raid, and it was the one that I wanted the most, so it made me happy. Anyway, like I said, next week we will be moving on to Nagrand. Definitely going to have both Beryl and Onyx together next week because it is a contested area. So thank you, as always, for hanging out with me. I'm sure I forgot a whole lot of things about Netherstorm, but you know, based on my faulty memory and the things that interest me in the game, this is what we got. So thank you as always for joining me, and I will see you next week. Say goodbye, Beryl. She just said wave because I forgot the slash. Anyway, thanks for joining me.